There's a lot of different ways to run a family formation program for a parish religious education. Um, Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that, one size fits all and there's only one good and best program. In my opinion, the best programs are born from and build off of feedback from people such as yourself. We want to create a program not for us, but a program for our parish, for our community. And your feedback is essential on that. So, before I get started and give this sort of guide to family formation for everybody, I just want to preface everything with that. Over the course of the year, we are going to be asking for feedback from you. And even in this video, if you want to put some comments in the chat here so that I'll respond and my team will respond, and hopefully we can make adjustments here and there along the way and create a program that's best for as many people as we can. Our goal is ultimately to bring you guys and give you guys the tools to facilitate a strong relationship with Jesus Christ. That's our first goal, that's our only goal. So, what are we going to do for family formation? What is family formation going to look like on the Sunday that's coming up? Well, there's really three parts that I'd like to go over with you. Okay. There's an intro. Okay. There's a main catechesis. And then there's a fellowship segment. And all of our family formation sessions will be built upon this. Okay. Now, every session begins with that intro, that introduction, opening prayer. So everything we do is going to be built on, centered on relationships. Okay. First and foremost, our relationship with Christ, and secondarily, our relationship with each other. Okay. And, by extension, our children. Okay. So we open every session. Everybody walks in to the parish center and you're going to check in at the attendance. You're going to give your name to the individuals, the volunteers and staff members that are there, and you're going to walk into the parish meeting room. And that big room is going to be filled with tables and chairs and moms, dads, aunts, uncles, grandmas, grandpas, kids, whoever's there. And remember, with our family formation program, we really only require one adult guardian with the student. Okay. It's, you know, imperative that that adult is somebody who plays a role in the faith journey of the child. Because remember, going back to that earlier point, we're about relationships. Okay. So if the adult guardian that's bringing the child for family formation has an active spiritual and faith filled relationship with the child, that's perfect. That's exactly what we want. Now, in an ideal scenario, that's mom and dad, but we live in a world that's not, black or white. I myself, I both my parents are divorced. So, both my parents and I should say my wife's parents are both divorced. So, we have four sets of families. Sometimes with that divorce and messiness of family life, having both mom and dad at a session is not always doable, right? We're not here to create undue obstacles, So as long as it's just a faith-filled adult that's active in the child's life, that works for us. Okay. So you come on in, you check in, and you take a seat wherever you want, and we'll have some light music playing as people are filing in. Okay. And we'll have the projector screen projected up with the question or the topic for that month. So the very first year of family formation here, we have a few cycles of topics that we'll be going through over the years to come. But foundations of the faith, we want to lay those building blocks. Okay. Because good learning looks back to a prior lesson, focuses on a new topic, and looks forward to a lesson in the future, right? We want to be able to teach in threes so that we can climb that ladder and not just regurgitate the same info year after year. Again, we're not really so centered on that information so much as we are the relationship. It's great to have information. I want to know stuff about my wife, for example. I want to know what she likes to eat. I want to know the music she likes. But just to know those things is not to know my wife, right? I still need to spend time with her. I need to be present with her. I need to listen to her. Okay. That's where we're going to get to with this focus on relationship, our relationship with Christ and each other. So for October session, our topic is the creed. right? And all of our topics are centered on an essential question, okay? If we are going to build on our learning and grow in our relationship with Christ, we want to be able to answer deep questions about our faith that we have ourselves, but also the world has about Catholicism in general. And what better question to start with than who is God? Who do Catholics say God is? Well, conveniently enough, the apostles gave us that answer, right? The Apostles' Creed and the Nicene Creed after, those creeds, that comes from the Latin credo, I believe. That's what we believe, what we profess to believe as Catholics. So that's what we're going to investigate. We're going to investigate the creed in the month of October here, okay? And we're going to do so at all our varying levels, right? We want to differentiate, okay? We want to have the creed taught to a first grader the way a first grader is going to understand it, and to an eighth grader the way an eighth grader is going to understand it, but also to you, moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, the way you want to understand it. Because remember, a relationship doesn't have a start and an end point. I don't at a certain point completely understand God. That would be ridiculous. Okay, He is infinite and all powerful, all knowing. He is without limit. Therefore, by logic, I can never fully comprehend Him or understand Him. I ought to, in a lifelong approach, continue to seek Him as He always seeks us. So everybody comes in. Step one, we enter into the PC and we get acquainted with that question. And I'll lead that question. And then I will, after the opening prayer and that question has been posed, the topic's been set, I will then send our kids, I'll dismiss them by grade levels. And our individual catechists that teach those grade levels, they'll stand up, they'll wave their hand, and they'll bring the students over to the school to their selected classroom for their grade. Okay. Now, that segment will be about 30-35 minutes. Okay. And then they'll come back. Now, what do moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas do in the meantime? Well, you'll be with me and we'll cover that same topic, but again, at an adult level with a particular emphasis and focus on providing you guys strategies, tools, engagement techniques to have discussions about that topic over the course of the month with your child. Okay. Then everybody comes back and we're all back together again. And that last segment, the fellowship segment of every month's family formation, is always going to be centered on fellowship. Okay. Now, some months we'll play Kahoot trivia to review information that we've gone over the course of the year. Sometimes we'll share a meal like we will during Lent. Sharing a meal is a powerful, wonderful experience to build in our fellowship, grow in fellowship together. And then some months we'll focus on a service project that's tied to the greater parish community and helping our outreach efforts. Okay. So we've got those 3 points. Okay. First, we come in, we start everything in prayer and orientate ourselves and our hearts and minds towards the topic that we all wish to explore. Okay. Number two, we actually are catechized. We're formed in the content. Whatever that topic is, we're going to dive into it, but at our appropriate age level. And then step three, we all come back together once again in fellowship to celebrate that camaraderie that it is to be brothers and sisters in Christ, but also to take that and apply it to something great and wonderful, such as a service project. Each month, we will then come back and explore a new topic that builds off of the last. God bless and have a good day.